Earth in the year 2150 looked very different from centuries past. Humans had finally set aside their differences and created a unified global government. Peace had allowed technology to advance rapidly. The shining cities on Earth now stretched into the sky, powered by clean energy from the sun and wind. Dr. Han sat in her laboratory late one night, her eyes tired from staring at screens of data. She rubbed her temples and looked out the window at the glittering lights of New Seoul. She was part of Earth's space signal analysis team, searching the stars for signs of life beyond their planet. Another boring night, she muttered to herself, taking a sip of cold coffee. Then something on her screen caught her eye. A pattern in the background radiation wasn't random at all. She zoomed in, her heart beating faster. The signal repeated in a way that couldn't be natural. Dr. Han quickly called her colleague. "Dr. Kim, you need to see this right now." Dr. Kim arrived 20 minutes later, his hair messy as if he'd been sleeping. He squinted at the screen. "What am I looking at?" "These signals. They're too perfect, too regular." Dr. Han pointed to the pattern. I think something intelligent is watching Earth." Dr. Kim's face went pale. "That's impossible. Our detection systems would have picked up any spacecraft near our solar system. Not if their technology is far more advanced than ours," Dr. Han said quietly. "These signals suggest they might be able to observe us from tremendous distances." What neither scientist could know was that the observation had already moved far beyond simple watching. The Galactic Council of 7 species had been monitoring Earth for centuries, and in the last decade, they had taken more direct action. Deep within an asteroid at the edge of the solar system, Elder Park walked through a large chamber where rows of strange pods lined the walls. Inside each pod was a perfect copy of a human, world leaders, scientists, and influential people from Earth. The Council had mastered the art of creating living duplicates that could think and act exactly like the originals. Elder Park stopped in front of a pod containing a copy of the United Earth President. The duplicate's eyes were open, absorbing information through direct neural links. "Is it ready?" Elder Park asked a technician who was checking readings on a monitor. "Yes, Elder. This duplicate has fully absorbed the memories and personality of the target. It will replace the human president during tomorrow's lunar visit." Elder Park nodded with satisfaction. "Good. And the real president will be kept in stasis here, as with the others." The council chamber was located in another part of the asteroid, a vast room with 7 large seats arranged in a circle. Each seat was occupied by a representative of the 7 species that ruled the galaxy. They were creatures of varied forms. Some resembled insects, others were more reptilian, and some were nearly formless masses of intelligent matter. Elder Park, who appeared most humanoid among them, addressed the group. "Humans are advancing too quickly," Elder Park said, projecting images of Earth's new fusion engines and quantum computers. "Their rate of technological development is alarming. In just the last century, they've gone from primitive computers to the brink of faster-than-light travel." Elder Min, who resembled something like a tall praying mantis, clicked its mouthparts together. "Their warlike tendencies are even more concerning. They've only recently unified after centuries of constant conflict." "Precisely," Elder Park agreed. "They're too unpredictable, too innovative. Their thinking is dangerously chaotic. If they join galactic society, they will disrupt the order we've maintained for 50,000 years." "What do you propose?" asked Elder Cho, whose crystalline body glimmered under the chamber lights. "We've already begun replacing their leaders with our duplicates," Elder Park said. "These duplicates will guide human civilization away from dangerous technologies. They'll encourage artistic and social development instead of scientific advancement." Elder Bake, whose body was a swirling cloud of intelligent particles, moved forward slightly. "And if they detect our interference?" "They won't," Elder Park said confidently. "Our duplicates are perfect. Even their own mothers couldn't tell the difference, and we're being careful to make changes slowly. Small adjustments to research funding, tiny shifts in policy. Nothing dramatic enough to raise suspicion. Back on Earth, Dr. Han was growing frustrated. She'd taken her findings to her superiors, but they had dismissed her concerns. "These are just random patterns you're seeing meaning in," the research director had told her. "Focus on the mission parameters." Dr. Han sat in a small cafe near her apartment, sharing her frustrations with Dr. Kim. "I know what I saw," she insisted. "Something is watching us." "I believe you," Dr. Kim said. "But what can we do if the higher-ups won't listen?" Unknown to them, their conversation was being monitored. The cafe owner was one of the duplicates, his eyes recording everything and transmitting back to the council. Meanwhile, the duplicates were hard at work. In Washington, the fake president announced a new initiative. "We will redirect our space exploration funding toward improving life here on Earth," he said to cameras. "The stars will still be there when we've solved our problems at home." In Beijing, another duplicate heading the Global Science Council announced a shift away from physics research. "We must focus on biological sciences to improve human health and longevity," she told reporters, effectively cutting funding to the very departments working on faster-than-light travel. One by one, small decisions were made that would slowly but surely ground humanity's reach for the stars. Dr. Han couldn't understand why space programs were suddenly losing support. Everything had been moving forward so quickly, and now it seemed humanity was pulling back from the very edge of great discoveries. She didn't know that the Galactic Council was watching her specifically. They had identified her as a potential threat due to her persistence and intelligence. "The Han subject continues to investigate the signals," a duplicate reported to Elder Park. "She may need to be dealt with." Elder Park considered this information. Arrange for her to receive a prestigious research position studying deep ocean ecosystems, far from space research. The Council's plan was moving forward perfectly. Without humanity even knowing it was happening, their future among the stars was being quietly erased. The 7 species would maintain their dominance, and Earth would remain ignorant of the greater galactic community. Human wars and conflicts had never truly threatened the Council, but human creativity, adaptability, and unpredictable thinking. Those were the real dangers they feared. Captain Lee sat at the back of the briefing room, his face carefully blank despite the alarm bells ringing in his mind. The new Admiral Kang was presenting the latest military directives with calm authority, but something felt deeply wrong. "As we move forward, our focus will shift from deep space operations to Earth defense systems," Admiral Kang explained, showing slides of orbital platforms. "The Interstellar Exploration Division will be reduced by 80%, with resources redirected to lunar security." When the lights came up, Captain Lee caught Lieutenant Song's eye. They had served together for 7 years, and a look was all they needed. As they filed out of the room, he whispered, "Meet me at the old training ground. 2000 hours." That night, under the cover of darkness, they met at an abandoned military facility on the outskirts of the city. "The directive to dismantle our deep space program makes no strategic sense," Captain Lee said, pacing the dusty floor. "It's like they want to keep us earthbound." Lieutenant Song nodded. "I've noticed other strange decisions too. The quantum communication project was shut down last month. The faster-than-light research team was reassigned to work on better farming methods." "Something is very wrong," Captain Lee said. "And I don't think it's just bad leadership." Over the next month, Captain Lee carefully identified others who shared his concerns. Engineers, pilots, scientists, people who had noticed the strange shift away from space exploration. They met in small groups, never in the same place twice, sharing observations and building a picture of what was happening. One name kept coming up in their discussions: Ju. "She's brilliant, but the Science Council pushed her out last year," said Technical Officer Choi. "Said her ideas were too radical." Captain Lee found Ju working in a small repair shop fixing household robots. Her hands were stained with grease, but her eyes were sharp and intelligent. "I hear you have questions about our leadership," she said before he could even introduce himself properly. "How did you?" I notice things, she cut him off. And I've been noticing a lot of strange things lately. Ju took him to a hidden room behind her shop. The walls were covered in diagrams, data printouts, and images of world leaders. They're not human, she said simply. Captain Lee stared at her. What do you mean? I don't know what they are exactly, but they're not human. Look at these brain scans. She pointed to images on her wall. I hacked into the medical database. These are from the annual checkups of top officials. See this pattern? It's not a normal human brain. Captain Lee studied the images. Even if you're right, how can we prove it? Ju grinned and picked up a small device from her workbench. I've been working on that. This scanner can detect the differences between human biology and whatever these things are. Within weeks, Ju had joined their resistance group and turned her tiny workshop into their headquarters. Her device worked. When they secretly scanned Admiral Kang during a base inspection, the readings showed a completely alien biological structure disguised to look human. Ju worked day and night to improve her scanner, making it smaller and more sensitive. The group began systematically testing government officials whenever they could get close enough. The infiltration is worse than we imagined, Ju reported one night, her face pale as she showed them the results. Nearly 30% of world leaders aren't human anymore. The room fell silent. How is this possible? Lieutenant Song finally asked. How could they replace so many people without anyone noticing? The replacements are perfect copies, Ju explained. They have all the memories, mannerisms, even the DNA reads as human on standard tests. Only my specialized scanner can detect the differences in their neural patterns. Captain Lee leaned over the table where a map of government facilities was spread out. The question is, what do they want? Why replace our leaders? The answer came from their analysis of policy changes. Every replaced leader had made decisions that slowed human technological advancement, especially in space technology. The pattern was clear. These aliens were deliberately holding humanity back. They fear us, Ju realized one night while reviewing the data. They're afraid of human potential. Further investigation revealed that these imposters were particularly focused on limiting human creativity and unpredictability. Art programs were well-funded, but always toward traditional forms. Innovation was subtly discouraged across all fields. It's like they're afraid of how we think, Captain Lee said. Our problem-solving abilities scare them. The resistance grew carefully, adding only the most trustworthy members. They developed secure communication methods and began planning how to reveal the truth to the world. Their chance came when the Secretary General was scheduled to make a major address about the future of human development. Their intelligence suggested that he was one of the alien duplicates. If we can expose him publicly, people will have to believe us, Captain Lee said during their planning session. The plan was simple but risky. Ju had modified her scanner into a device that would disrupt the alien biology temporarily, revealing their true nature. Lieutenant Song would get close enough to activate it during the speech. On the day of the address, everything seemed to be going according to plan. Lieutenant Song was in position as part of the security detail. The Secretary General took the stage to announce a new human-focused initiative that would further reduce space exploration. Lieutenant Song activated Ju's device. For a brief moment, the Secretary General's face seemed to shimmer and distort. But it happened so quickly that most people didn't notice, and the cameras didn't capture it clearly. The Secretary General, however, noticed Lieutenant Song and the device. With a subtle hand signal, security forces moved in. Captain Lee and Ju watched in horror from their hidden location as their plan fell apart. Lieutenant Song was arrested on the spot. The news that evening reported that a dangerous extremist had attempted to attack the Secretary General with an unknown device. By morning, all major news networks were running stories about a terrorist organization opposed to global unity. Pictures of Captain Lee, Ju, and other resistance members were displayed as enemies of peace. This is how they work, Ju said as they watched the news from a new hiding place. They control the narrative completely. Their secure communication network was compromised. Several resistance members were arrested in coordinated raids. Captain Lee and Ju barely escaped with a few core members. "What do we do now?" asked Technical Officer Choi as they huddled in an abandoned subway tunnel. "They've turned the whole world against us." Captain Lee looked at the small group of frightened faces. They were now branded as terrorists, hunted by the very government they were trying to save. "We keep fighting," he said firmly. "We gather evidence, build better technology, and find a way to show everyone the truth." The aliens made one big mistake. "What's that?" Ju asked. "They targeted humanity because they fear our ability to solve impossible problems," Captain Lee said with determination. "So let's show them exactly why they should be afraid." The resistance moved through the shadows of the abandoned subway tunnels. Their numbers had grown despite the government's efforts to hunt them down. Captain Lee led the way, his flashlight casting long shadows on the crumbling walls. "We need to be careful," he warned the group following behind him. "The security patrols have doubled in the last week." Ju walked beside him, carrying her equipment in a worn backpack. "Something's changed," she said quietly. "They're more aggressive now." They reached their new base of operations, an old maintenance facility deep underground that had been forgotten when the new transit systems were built. Inside, they had set up computers, communication equipment, and Ju's laboratory. "Look at this," said one of their newest members, a young woman named Sun who had worked in the Global Water Management Authority. She pulled up diagrams on her tablet. "I noticed something strange in the water treatment protocols. They've added a new compound to the public supply." Ju examined the chemical formula and frowned. "This isn't just for purification. This compound would affect brain chemistry, specifically the areas associated with creative thinking and questioning." Captain Lee's face darkened. "They're drugging the population to make them more compliant." Further investigation revealed other disturbing changes. The education system had been quietly restructured. New teaching methods discouraged questions and independent thought. Children were now rewarded for memorization rather than innovation. "It's happening everywhere," said Min, a former teacher who had joined them after noticing these changes. "The new curriculum emphasizes accepting information, not challenging it." The Alien Council was clearly accelerating their plans. Their strategy had shifted from simply holding back technological progress to actively reshaping human thinking. In her makeshift lab, Ju worked tirelessly to understand the alien biology. She had managed to collect tissue samples from a suspected duplicate during one of their operations. Under her microscope, the cells behaved unlike anything she had ever seen. "Their biology mimics human form," she explained to Captain Lee one night. "But their neural structure is more like a network than a brain. It processes information differently." For weeks, Ju ran test after test, trying to find a weakness they could exploit. The breakthrough came unexpectedly when she accidentally dropped a sample while arguing with another team member. "That's it," she exclaimed, rushing back to her microscope. "Look at this." Captain Lee peered through the lens but saw only cells breaking down. "What am I looking at?" "Their neural networks can't process intense human emotions," Ju explained, showing him the data readings. "When exposed to strong emotional stimuli, their biological systems become unstable." The argument we just had. My emotional response caused a reaction in the sample. This discovery changed everything. If the alien duplicates couldn't handle intense human emotions, perhaps they could use this weakness against them. Ju developed a device that could generate targeted electromagnetic pulses that stimulated the emotional centers of the brain. "In humans, it will just cause a temporary emotional response," she explained. "But in the duplicates, it should disrupt their neural network completely." Their first target was a mid-level official named Director Yu, whom they were certain was a duplicate. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would need to get close enough to use the device, then extract the real Director Yu from wherever he was being held. The operation went more smoothly than expected. When exposed to Ju's device, the duplicate collapsed, its systems overwhelmed. The neural network shut down completely, and the body reverted to its original alien form, a grayish mass of semi-liquid tissue. "We need to move quickly," Captain Lee told his team. "We don't know how long before they discover what happened." Using information from Director Yu's files, they located a hidden facility where the real humans were being kept in stasis. Director Yu was there, along with dozens of others, all preserved in pods similar to those used for long space travel. When they revived the real Director Yu, he was disoriented and shocked. They copied me," he stammered. "They said they were studying humans, that it was for peaceful contact." Director Yu remembered everything the duplicate had done while impersonating him. "It had all my memories, but it wasn't me. I could feel it using my knowledge, but making decisions I never would have made." With Director Yu's help, they began planning larger operations. His position gave them access to security systems they couldn't reach before. One by one, they targeted other duplicates, restoring the real humans to their positions. Unknown to them, their actions had set off alarms throughout the Council's network. Elder Park called an emergency meeting. "The humans have discovered a way to identify and disable our duplicates," Elder Park reported grimly. "Our covert operation is failing." Elder Min's insect-like form shimmered with agitation. "How many duplicates have been compromised?" "7 so far," Elder Park answered, "including those with access to high-security information." "This is unprecedented," Elder Cho said, crystal body glowing more intensely with concern. "No species has ever detected our infiltration before, let alone developed countermeasures." Elder Park moved to the center of the chamber. "The humans have proven exactly why we were right to fear them. Their adaptability and innovation make them dangerous. We must move to the next phase of containment." The vote was unanimous. Subtlety would be abandoned. Direct intervention was now authorized. On Earth, the Resistance was celebrating their latest success when their communication system detected unusual activity in orbit. "Something big just appeared near the moon," Sun reported, eyes wide as she looked at the readings. "Multiple objects, too large to be satellites." Captain Lee rushed to the monitor. "Get me visual." The images from their hacked satellite feed showed what couldn't be possible. Massive ships, unlike any human design, moving into position around Earth. "They're not hiding anymore," Ju said quietly. Across the planet, people looked up in fear and wonder as the alien ships became visible in the daytime sky. Global communications were flooded with panic and confusion. Government channels, still largely controlled by duplicates, attempted to calm the population with claims of peaceful contact. But the Resistance used their own channels to broadcast the truth. They showed evidence of the infiltration, the duplicates, and the conspiracy to hold humanity back. They revealed footage of the stasis pods where the real human leaders had been kept. In a dramatic global broadcast, Captain Lee stood beside the real Director Yu and other rescued officials. "People of Earth," he said, his voice steady despite the enormity of the moment. "For years, we have been infiltrated and betrayed by an alien force that fears human potential. They have replaced our leaders, altered our education, and even poisoned our water to make us docile and compliant. Today, they show themselves openly because their secret plan has failed." The world watched in shock as both the real Director Yu and footage of his alien duplicate were shown side by side. "We are not alone in the universe," Captain Lee continued. "But our first contact has not been with friends. We have been betrayed by those who presented themselves as allies while working to ensure humanity would never reach its true potential." As he spoke, more alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, taking position over major cities. Humanity finally learned the truth. They had been betrayed. And now they would have to fight for their very existence. The alien ships hung in the sky like dark clouds. They fired strange weapons at Earth's cities. Buildings didn't explode but simply fell apart as the energy beams touched them. Earth's missiles couldn't even reach the ships. They hit invisible walls and exploded harmlessly in the air. General Nam of the Global Defense Force slammed his fist on the table. "Nothing works. Our best weapons can't touch them. Captain Lee stood quietly in the corner of the emergency command center. He had been brought in after his broadcast exposed the aliens. The world governments, now led by their real human leaders again, were desperate for any advantage. Conventional warfare won't work, Captain Lee said. We need to think differently. Ju stepped forward with a small device in her hand. Their technology is advanced, but they think in very fixed patterns. We can use that against them. Within days, a new battle plan emerged. Instead of direct attacks, human forces used surprise and creativity. Small teams would appear, cause trouble, and vanish before the aliens could respond. They attacked communication relays instead of ships. They used decoys and false signals to confuse alien targeting systems. In Seoul, resistance fighters set up speakers playing intense music and emotional human arguments near alien ground troops. The conflicting emotions confused the aliens' neural networks, making them unable to fight effectively. In Rio de Janeiro, they used mirrors and simple light reflectors to redirect the aliens' own energy weapons back at their ships. The aliens never adjusted their attack pattern, firing at the same angles even as their beams were reflected back. They don't adapt quickly, Captain Lee observed during a strategy meeting. They expect us to follow rules of engagement, to fight in ways they understand. A captured alien ship became Ju's new laboratory. She worked day and night with a team of engineers to understand the technology. Look at this, she said, showing Captain Lee a component from the ship's engine. It's brilliant, but it's designed with mathematical perfection. There's no room for variation or improvement. Ju and her team didn't just copy the alien technology. They reimagined it. They added human innovations that made the technology work in ways the aliens had never considered. They think in linear patterns. Ju explained to the resistance leaders gathered around the modified alien device. We think in creative leaps. That's what they fear. The first human-modified alien weapon was used in the Battle of New Cairo. It didn't just disable the alien ship. It caused the ship's systems to overload and shut down completely. The aliens had no defense against their own technology used in unpredictable ways. As they captured more alien equipment, they discovered communication logs and star maps. Ju worked with linguists to translate the alien language. This isn't good, she said grimly, looking up from her work. Earth isn't their first target. They'd been doing this for thousands of years. The logs revealed that the Council had suppressed dozens of other intelligent species across the galaxy. Some were kept as primitive societies through subtle interference. Others were allowed limited technology, but were manipulated to prevent space exploration. A few that had resisted too strongly had been completely eliminated. They maintained their power through control, Captain Lee said, studying the star maps. Any species that might threaten that control is either contained or destroyed. Humanity's resistance was unique only in how quickly they had discovered the infiltration and fought back. The Council had never faced a species that adapted so rapidly to their tactics. As battles continued around the world, the Resistance captured more ships and technology. They located the Council's main command ship in Earth orbit, a massive structure hidden behind the moon. We need to end this, Captain Lee said, not just for us, but for all the species they've been controlling. He proposed a dangerous mission. A small team would take a captured and modified alien ship to the command center. They would carry a peace proposal, but also be prepared for the worst. Captain Lee led the mission himself. Ju equipped their ship with her best modified technology and joined the team as technical support. The journey to the Council's command ship was tense. They were allowed to dock, which surprised everyone. They're confident, Captain Lee said. They don't see us as a real threat. Elder Park met them in a vast chamber. The alien leader looked almost human but moved with strange, too-perfect precision. 6 other council members flanked him, each representing a different species. We have come to offer peace, Captain Lee said, standing tall despite the intimidating surroundings. Humanity is willing to join the galactic community as equals. We can share our creativity and help all species advance together. Elder Park's face showed no emotion. Your species cannot be controlled, therefore you cannot be allowed to exist. With a simple gesture, Elder Park activated a large device in the center of the chamber. A holographic display showed Earth, with energy readings building around the command ship. This will remove your planet's atmosphere. Elder Park explained calmly. It will be quick. The rest of the galaxy will never know you existed. Ju stepped forward, her hand moving to a device hidden in her pocket. You fear us because we're different, because we think in ways you can't predict. Fear is irrelevant, Elder Park replied. You are a disruption to order. Order must be preserved. As Elder Park spoke, Ju activated her device. It wasn't a weapon, it was a transmitter. All around Earth, the modified alien technology they had distributed began working together. The weapons they had captured and changed were not just for defense. They were parts of a larger system. On the holographic display, a strange field began to form around Earth. The council members moved with sudden agitation. What have you done? Elder Park demanded. We created a shield using your own technology, Captain Lee explained. But we improved it in ways you never imagined. The doomsday weapon fired. A massive energy beam shot toward Earth, only to be absorbed by the shield. The energy didn't just stop. It was channeled back into the shield, making it stronger. Impossible, Elder Park said, for the first time showing emotion. Fear. That's exactly what makes us dangerous to you, Captain Lee replied. We do the impossible. We think in ways you can't understand. And now we've used your own technology against you. Alarms blared throughout the command ship. The Council's weapon had overloaded, causing cascading failures in their systems. You should have offered us real peace, Captain Lee said as his team backed toward their ship. Instead, you'll see what happens when humanity is truly unleashed. As they escaped the failing command ship, Ju's monitors showed that their transmitted signal was having another effect. On planets throughout the galaxy, other subjugated species were receiving the technical data needed to break free from Council control. We're not just saving ourselves, Ju said, watching the data stream out across the stars. We're freeing the galaxy. The Council's carefully maintained order was collapsing. And humanity, the species they had feared most, was now leading a galactic revolution. The Council's massive doomsday weapon fired its beam toward Earth. From their command ship, Elder Park watched with cold satisfaction. The weapon had destroyed 3 other rebellious civilizations in the past. He had no doubt it would work again. But something unexpected happened. As the energy beam reached Earth's atmosphere, it encountered a shimmering barrier. The beam didn't penetrate. Instead, the energy spread across the shield like ripples in water, growing brighter but never breaking through. What is happening? Elder Min demanded, his insect-like form trembling with agitation. The humans, Elder Park said, his voice tight with anger. They've adapted our shield technology. On Earth, Ju stood in the Global Defense Center, watching the readings on her screens. The shield was holding, just as she had designed it to. She had studied the alien technology and understood it better than its creators did. It's working. She called out to the anxious technicians around her. The shield is absorbing their weapon's energy and getting stronger. The Council tried again, increasing the weapon's power. The beam hit the shield with twice the force. But again, the shield absorbed the energy, growing even more powerful. Engineers around the world cheered as Ju's inventions saved their planet. In orbit, the Council command ship shook as its weapon systems overloaded. Warning alarms blared through the massive vessel. We must retreat and reconsider our strategy, Elder Cho suggested, crystal body flickering with stress patterns. No, Elder Park said firmly. We end this now. He activated the emergency protocols, preparing to sacrifice their command ship by causing its power core to explode. The blast would be powerful enough to destroy Earth's shield and much of the planet's surface. But before the sequence could complete, their ship was hit by focused energy beams from dozens of smaller vessels. The modified alien ships the humans had captured were now attacking, using technology in ways the Council had never imagined possible. Our own weapons, Elder Park whispered in disbelief. They're using our own weapons against us. Captain Lee led the attack from the flagship of Earth's new fleet. His ship, once a Council cruiser, now carried improvements made by Ju and her team. Target their power systems, he ordered. We want to disable, not destroy. As the battle raged around Earth, something even more significant was happening across the galaxy. The transmission that Ju had sent out carried more than just shield technology. It contained evidence of the Council's manipulation and control of countless species. It showed how they had stunted development, replaced leaders, and even destroyed civilizations that didn't comply with their vision of order. On planet after planet, the truth spread. Species that had been held back for thousands of years suddenly understood why their development had stalled or regressed. Those who had lived under puppet governments installed by the Council began to resist. The rebellion spread faster than the Council could contain it. Their perfectly ordered galaxy was descending into chaos as species after species demanded freedom. In a final desperate move, Elder Park took a small ship and fled the battle around Earth, but Captain Lee pursued him, determined to end the threat once and for all. The two ships faced each other near the orbit of Mars. Captain Lee managed to disable Elder Park's engines with a precise shot. Using a docking tube, he boarded the Council ship with a small team. They found Elder Park in the control room, still working to remotely activate the self-destruct sequence on the main command ship. "It's over," Captain Lee said, stepping into the room with his weapon ready. "Your Council is falling. The species you've controlled are breaking free." Elder Park turned to face him. For the first time, real emotion showed on his almost human face. It was a mixture of anger and genuine confusion. Why would they want freedom? Elder Park asked. "We gave them peace. We gave them order. Without us, the galaxy will fall into war and destruction. You gave them stagnation," Captain Lee replied. "You feared change so much that you stopped growth and progress for entire civilizations." "You don't understand," Elder Park insisted. "We've seen what happens when species develop unchecked. We've seen the destruction." Captain Lee lowered his weapon slightly. "You feared us not because we were a threat, but because we represented change. And change frightens you." The confrontation ended not with violence, but with Elder Park's capture. He and the surviving Council members were brought to Earth to face justice for their crimes against countless intelligent species. In the months that followed, representatives from dozens of liberated worlds came to Earth. They arrived in ships of various designs, some advanced, others barely capable of interstellar travel. They came because Earth had become a symbol of resistance and freedom. In a historic gathering in the rebuilt United Nations Plaza in New York, delegates from 87 different species met to form a new galactic alliance. Unlike the Council's rule of control and suppression, this alliance would be based on principles of freedom, cooperation, and the right of all beings to determine their own path. Captain Lee, now appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador, addressed the gathering. "We stand at the beginning of a new era," he said to the diverse audience. "One where differences are celebrated, not feared. Where innovation is encouraged, not suppressed. Where each species is free to reach its full potential." The new Galactic Alliance established its headquarters on Earth. The planet once targeted for destruction became the center of a new interstellar community. Human scientists worked alongside alien engineers, sharing ideas and approaches that neither would have discovered alone. One evening, 6 months after the final battle, Ju stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Alliance Tower. She watched ships from a dozen worlds moving through Earth's orbit, a sight that would have been impossible to imagine just a year earlier. Captain Lee joined her at the window. They had both been so busy with their new responsibilities that they rarely had time to simply talk. "Do you think the Council was partly right?" Ju asked quietly. "About the dangers of uncontrolled development?" Captain Lee considered the question. "Perhaps, but their solution was wrong. They chose control over guidance, suppression over cooperation. Ju nodded, watching a ship from the water world of Neridian dock with the orbital station. They thought our unpredictability made us dangerous, she said. They never understood that innovation thrives in freedom, not control. Below them, in the main council chamber, representatives from former council worlds were meeting with newly discovered civilizations. Species that had been kept apart for millennia were sharing knowledge and culture. The galaxy is messy now, Captain Lee admitted with a smile. It's unpredictable and sometimes chaotic. But it's alive in a way it hasn't been for thousands of years. The galaxy had been transformed, not by human conquest, but by humanity's unquenchable spirit, the very quality the Council had feared most. And in that transformation, every species had found a new future, full of possibilities that had been denied to them for too long. Where the Council had seen only threats to order, the new alliance saw opportunities for growth. Where the Council had required conformity, the alliance celebrated diversity. And where the Council had feared the unknown, the alliance embraced it with open arms. Together, they would face whatever challenges the universe held next. The end.